What if I told you that you could plant something once, just one single time, and that plant would keep feeding you fresh food for 10, 20, even 30 years straight? No reseeding every spring. No starting over from scratch when the season ends. You put it in the ground once and it just keeps on giving year after year after year, like a gift that never stops. And here is the part that genuinely blows my mind every time I think about it. Most gardeners, even experienced ones who have been growing food for decades, have never even heard of half the plants we are about to talk about today. That is not their fault. Nobody talks about these, and that is exactly why we are here. Welcome back to The Lazy Gardener, the channel where we work smarter in the garden, not harder. And today we are doing something really exciting. I have got 9 incredible perennial vines that will turn any fence, any trellis, any boring wall or pergola into a living, breathing, producing grocery store. And trust me, some of these are going to genuinely surprise you. But before we get into the list, I want to say something that I know is going to be a little controversial. And I want you to drop your thoughts in the comments because I am genuinely curious. Here it is. I think perennial food plants are one of the most underrated and overlooked categories in all of home gardening. Most gardening channels and most gardening books push annuals. Plant this in spring, harvest in summer, done. Start again next year. And I think that mindset is actually holding a lot of home gardeners back from building something truly sustainable and truly effortless in their own backyard. Tell me in the comments. Do you agree with that? Or do you think annuals are still the way to go? I want to know where you stand. Now, I also want you to stay with me all the way to the end of this video because I have 3 secret bonus vines waiting for you at the finish line. And one of them, I am completely serious about this, grows potatoes in midair, hanging right there on the vine like ornaments on a Christmas tree. You do not want to miss that. And if you are new here to The Lazy Gardener and you love discovering plants that actually work hard for you so you do not have to, please do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. I share things like this all the time and I would hate for you to miss what is coming next on this channel. Alright, let us get into it. Number 1. Caucasian spinach. I am starting with this one because most people have absolutely never heard of it. And that is precisely why it deserves the top spot. This plant is called Caucasian spinach, also known by its botanical name Hablitzia tamnoides. And before you scroll past thinking it sounds too exotic or too complicated, give me 60 seconds. Because this vine might be the single most useful thing you ever put in your garden. Caucasian spinach is a perennial climbing spinach. Let that land for a moment. A spinach that climbs. A spinach that comes back every single year. A spinach that can grow up to 10 feet tall. And here is the part that really gets me excited. In early spring, when your entire garden is still basically asleep and nothing else is producing a single thing, Caucasian spinach is already pushing out fresh, tender, edible leaves. It originally comes from the Caucasus mountain region, sitting between Eastern Europe and Western Asia. It was actually a popular vegetable in Scandinavian gardens all the way back in the 1800s. Then, at some point, people just forgot about it. It disappeared from mainstream gardening knowledge almost completely. But right now, it is making a serious comeback among permaculture growers and smart food gardeners who understand the value of a plant that just keeps producing without being asked. The leaves taste mild and delicious, kind of like a cross between regular spinach and a very gentle, mild chard. When they are young and tender, eat them raw in salads. When they are a bit more mature, cook them exactly like you would regular spinach. A quick sauté with garlic and a drizzle of good olive oil and you have something genuinely wonderful. And here is what I consider to be the true superpower of this plant. It thrives in shade. Partial shade, full shade, it simply does not care. All those spots in your garden where nothing else wants to grow, where the light barely reaches and everything else sulks and struggles, Caucasian spinach looks at those spots and says, "Perfect, I will take it." It is cold hardy all the way down to zone 3. It is low maintenance to a degree that would make most other vegetables jealous. And once it is established, you are harvesting greens from it year after year after year for potentially decades. I have read about individual Caucasian spinach plants that are 20 and 30 years old, still reliably pushing out leaves every single spring like clockwork. Train it up a trellis. Let it climb a fence. Grow it up a shady wall. It takes up almost no ground space. It feeds you before anything else in the garden is even thinking about growing, and it practically takes care of itself. This is one of those plants that makes you seriously wonder why everybody is not already growing it. Number 2. The groundnut vine. This one is a real hidden treasure, and I mean that with complete sincerity. The groundnut vine, known botanically as Apios americana, is something that most modern gardeners have never encountered. But before you dismiss it, let me give you a little history that might change your perspective entirely. The groundnut vine is a nitrogen-fixing perennial vine that produces chains of small edible tubers underground. Think of them as little, nutty-flavored potatoes growing on a string beneath the soil. The Native Americans relied on this plant as a major food source for centuries. Some historians actually believe that the groundnut vine was one of the primary foods that kept the early pilgrims alive through their brutal first winters in North America. That is how nutritious and how important this plant was. And here is the number that will get your attention. Those tubers contain approximately 3 times the protein of a regular potato. 3 times. So you are not just getting a starchy root vegetable. You are getting a genuinely protein-rich food source growing right in your garden, coming back stronger every single year. The taste is outstanding. Imagine a cross between a roasted potato and a nutty sweet potato with a depth of flavor that a regular spud simply cannot match. You can roast them, boil them, mash them, slice them into soups and stews. They are incredibly versatile in the kitchen. But wait, because it gets even better. The vine itself is genuinely beautiful. It produces gorgeous clusters of fragrant reddish-brown flowers that look almost like tiny wisteria blooms. So you are getting exceptional food production and serious ornamental beauty from one single plant. It grows across zones 3 through 9. It appreciates moist soil and it can handle some shade as well, which makes it extremely flexible in terms of where you can place it. Here is the one thing to know going in. The tubers take about 2 to 3 years to really size up to their best. So plant it, walk away, and by year 3 you will be digging up handfuls of these incredible little tubers every fall. Once it is fully established, it just spreads and produces more abundantly every single year. Number 3. The chocolate vine. This is one of my absolute personal favorites on this entire list. And the name alone should be enough to make you curious. The chocolate vine, known botanically as Akebia quinnata, is a semi-evergreen perennial vine that produces gorgeous purple flowers every spring. And those flowers give off a subtle, sweet, unmistakable fragrance that genuinely smells like chocolate. I am not exaggerating. I am not making that up for the sake of a good story. It actually smells like chocolate. But the real magic of this plant comes from its fruit. The chocolate vine produces these unusual, elongated, sausage-shaped pods that split open when they are fully ripe, revealing a soft, translucent, sweet flesh inside. The flavor is subtle and delicate, something like a mild sweet melon with just a whisper of coconut. It is gentle, it is refined, and it is genuinely unlike anything else you have ever eaten from a garden. Now, I want to be straight with you here because that is what the lazy gardener is all about. This is not a plant you are going to harvest by the bushel. It is more of a garden delicacy, a conversation starter, something special and surprising. But the young shoots are also edible, and that is where the real ongoing harvest comes in. In Japan, people have been eating Akebia shoots as a treasured spring vegetable for generations. You can sauté them or toss them into stir-fries and they are excellent. The vine itself is vigorous and tough. It grows in zones 4 through 9, handles cold winters and hot summers with equal ease, and can reach 30 feet or more when it really gets going. Give it a strong trellis or a sturdy arbor and just let it do what it does. In some areas it can spread enthusiastically, so keep an eye on it and do a little pruning to keep things tidy. But honestly, when you are standing under an arbor completely draped in chocolate vine on a warm spring morning with that sweet fragrance drifting through the air, every bit of attention you gave it feels completely worth it. Now, I want to take a quick second and ask you something. Which of these 3 so far is the most surprising to you? Drop it in the comments below. I genuinely love reading your reactions to these plants because sometimes the comments section teaches me things too. Number 4. Malibar spinach. If you garden in a warm climate, this vine is about to become one of your very best friends in the garden. Malibar spinach, with the botanical name Biella alba, is a heat-loving perennial climbing vine that produces thick, glossy, succulent leaves throughout the entire warm season. Here is the thing about Malibar spinach that I need you to understand. In tropical and subtropical climates, zones 9 through 11, this vine is a genuine perennial powerhouse that comes back reliably year after year. And unlike regular spinach, which bolts and turns bitter and completely useless the moment temperatures climb above 75 degrees Fahrenheit, Malibar spinach does the complete opposite. It loves heat. The hotter it gets, the happier it is. The faster it grows. The more leaves it produces. So while your regular spinach has completely given up and disappeared by July, Malibar spinach is out there absolutely thriving, giving you armfuls of lush productive leaves through the hottest weeks of summer when almost nothing else wants to grow. That alone makes it invaluable. The leaves have a slightly mucilaginous texture, similar to okra, which makes them genuinely fantastic as a natural thickener in soups and stews. But young, tender leaves are also excellent raw in salads. Nutritionally, they are packed with vitamins A and C, iron and calcium. This is real food with real nutritional value. The vine grows fast. We are talking 6 to 10 feet in a single season. It produces beautiful dark purple stems and berries that are as ornamental as they are useful. Those berries, by the way, produce a vibrant magenta natural dye that has been used historically as both a food coloring and an ink. So you have got a plant that is edible, beautiful, productive in intense summer heat when almost nothing else will cooperate, and it comes back year after year. That is a win across every single category. If you are not subscribed to The Lazy Gardener yet, now is a great time to do that. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you catch every new video we drop. We are just getting to the halfway point and the plants coming up are only getting more interesting. Number 5. The hyacinth bean. This is one of the most visually stunning edible vines you will ever grow. The hyacinth bean, Lablab purpureus, is a plant that stops people in their tracks the very first time they see it. Picture a vigorous climbing vine covered in striking spikes of bright purple flowers, followed by these shiny, deep purple seed pods that look like something out of a fantasy novel or a botanical painting. It is honestly one of the most photogenic plants I have ever had the pleasure of growing, and that is before you even start talking about the food it produces. Here is a fun fact for you. Thomas Jefferson himself grew hyacinth beans at Monticello. That is how deep this plant goes in gardening and agricultural history. It has been a beloved and productive food plant across Africa, India, and Southeast Asia for generations. This is not some trendy new discovery. This is a plant with serious heritage. The young pods, the flowers, the leaves, and the mature beans are all edible. But here is something critically important that I want to make sure you hear clearly. The mature beans must be thoroughly cooked. You need to boil them and change the water at least once to remove naturally occurring compounds that you absolutely do not want to consume raw. Treat them exactly as you would treat any dried bean. Cook them properly and they are perfectly safe, delicious, and nutritious. This is standard practice in every culture where this bean is a dietary staple. In tropical climates, the hyacinth bean is a true perennial. In temperate zones, it grows as a vigorous annual that reseeds itself readily, so you still get that comeback quality without doing any extra work. It fixes nitrogen directly into your soil, so it is actively improving your garden while it grows and feeds you. Give it a trellis, a fence, a pergola, and it will put on a show that will have your neighbors stopping and asking what on earth you are growing. Number 6. Scarlet runner bean. This one holds a special place in the hearts of a lot of gardeners, and for very good reason. Most people know the scarlet runner bean for its brilliant, fiery red flowers. Hummingbirds go absolutely wild for them, and it is genuinely one of the most effective pollinator attractors you can plant. But here is what a surprising number of gardeners do not realize. In milder climates, zones 7 and above, the scarlet runner bean is actually a true perennial. The tuberous roots survive winter underground and send up vigorous new growth every spring without you doing a single thing. Even in colder zones, those roots can often survive if you mulch them well in the fall. So even northern gardeners have a real shot at getting perennial behavior from this plant with just a little extra care. The young green pods are tender, slightly fuzzy, and have a rich, full, deeply satisfying bean flavor that honestly puts your average green bean to shame. And if you let the pods mature fully, the beautiful speckled beans inside, splashed with black and purple and pink in patterns that look almost painted on, are spectacular as dried beans in soups and stews. They have a creamy, almost chestnut-like richness that makes them genuinely special in the kitchen. Here is a piece of history worth knowing. Scarlet runner beans have been cultivated for over 2,000 years, originally in the highlands of Central America, grown as a serious food crop long before anyone in Europe ever thought of them as ornamental flowers. When you plant these, you are connecting yourself to one of the longest continuous agricultural traditions in the entire Western Hemisphere. And I think that is pretty extraordinary. They grow quickly, reaching 12 feet or more, and they are amazingly productive. A single row along a fence gives you fresh green beans all summer and enough dried beans to carry you through winter. Plus, those brilliant red blooms against the big dark green leaves will make your garden look like something out of a painting. Number 7. Chayote. If there is a single vine on this entire list that qualifies as an absolute production machine, it is this one. Chayote, pronounced Chayote, botanical name Sechium edual, is a perennial vine from the squash family. And if you have not grown it yet and you live in a warm climate, I am asking you directly right now. Please do yourself a favor and grow this plant. A single chayote vine, just one plant, can produce 50 to 100 fruits in a single season. Some gardeners report getting even more than that from one established vine. The productivity is almost absurd. It is one of the most generous food plants in the natural world. The fruit looks like a wrinkled green pear, and it has a mild, crisp, slightly sweet flavor sitting somewhere between a cucumber and a very gentle zucchini. You can eat it raw in salads, stir-fry it, stuff it, bake it, pickle it, or use it in soups. It works with almost any cuisine and almost any cooking method. In Latin American, Caribbean, and Asian cooking, chayote is a genuine everyday staple that feeds millions of people around the world. But here is something that most people who have heard of chayote still do not know. It is not just the fruit. The young tender shoots and leaves are edible and absolutely delicious. They are a popular cooked green vegetable in many tropical countries, often simply sautéed with garlic. And the tuberous root that develops underground is also edible, starchy, and satisfying like a potato. So from one single vine you are harvesting fruit, fresh greens, and a root vegetable. 3 distinct food sources from one plant. That is the kind of efficiency that the lazy gardener was built to celebrate. Chayote thrives in zones 8 through 11 as a true perennial. Give it a strong trellis because it gets large and those fruits are heavy. And here is one of my favorite tricks in all of gardening. You do not even need to buy seeds or starts. Just pick up a chayote at your local grocery store, set it on your kitchen counter, and wait for it to sprout. Then plant the whole fruit directly in the ground. That is your starter plant. Within a few months you will have a massive, sprawling, incredibly productive vine. And within a season you will be giving chayotes away to anyone who will take them. Your neighbors will think you are some kind of genius. Number 8.
Passion fruit vine.
If you have ever cut open a ripe passion fruit and experienced that flood of intensely tropical, sweet tart fragrance, you already know that there is nothing else on earth quite like it. Nothing. The passion fruit vine, Passiflora edulis, produces some of the most exotic and visually spectacular flowers in the entire plant kingdom. Those layered, alien-looking blooms with their intricate purple and white filaments are so extraordinary that people genuinely stop walking when they see them for the very first time. Visitors to your garden will not just admire this plant. They will ask questions. They will take photos. They will leave wanting one of their own. And then from those extraordinary flowers come round fruits that wrinkle and deepen in color when they are fully ripe. Inside is bright, seedy, intensely fragrant pulp that is nothing short of pure tropical magic. Eat it straight from the fruit with a spoon. Pour it over yogurt or vanilla ice cream. Blend it into smoothies. Make passion fruit curd, jam, cocktails, or savory glazes. The culinary possibilities are genuinely endless. And nutritionally, passion fruit is packed with vitamins A and C, potassium, and dietary fiber. As a perennial, passion fruit thrives in zones 9 through 11, though the purple variety is somewhat more tolerant of cooler conditions. A well-established vine can produce fruit for 5 to 7 years or longer with good care. It is also a remarkably fast grower. You can go from planting to your first harvest in as little as 1 year. Here is the single most important tip I can give you about passion fruit. Do not pick it too early. Wait until the fruits either fall off the vine on their own or until the skin becomes deeply wrinkled. That wrinkling is not a sign of age or poor quality. It is the signal that the sugars have fully developed and the flavor is at its absolute peak. Patient gardeners get extraordinary passion fruit. Impatient ones get something that is tart and disappointing. And here is my honest question for you in the comments today. Have you ever tasted fresh homegrown passion fruit straight off the vine? Because if you have not, you are missing something that store-bought passion fruit cannot come close to replicating. Tell me below. Number 9. Hardy kiwi. This is the one that genuinely blows most people's minds the first time they hear about it. Hardy kiwi, Actinidia arguta, is a perennial climbing vine that produces real, edible, sweet kiwi fruit. And no, you absolutely do not need to live in New Zealand or California to grow it. Hardy kiwi is nothing like those big fuzzy kiwis sitting in a bowl on your kitchen counter. These are small, about the size of a large grape with smooth, completely edible thin skin. You just pop the whole fruit straight into your mouth. And the flavor is extraordinary. Sweeter than a standard kiwi, with an intense burst of tropical sweetness that honestly makes regular supermarket kiwis taste like a pale, bland imitation by comparison. These are nature's candy. Kids absolutely love them. And here is the part that surprises people the most. Hardy kiwi vines are extremely cold tolerant. We are talking zones 3 through 9. That means gardeners in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Vermont, the Pacific Northwest, all across New England. You can grow this. This is not an exclusively warm climate plant. This is a vine that will work for the vast majority of gardeners watching this video right now. These vines are also extraordinarily long-lived. A hardy kiwi vine can live and produce for 50 years or more. Let that number sink in. 50 years of fresh fruit from one planting. That is not just a plant. That is a generational investment in food for your family. A couple of practical things to know before you plant. Most hardy kiwi varieties need both a male and a female vine to produce fruit, so you will need at least 2 plants. Usually 1 male for every 6 to 8 females. And they can take 3 to 5 years before they begin fruiting. Patience is genuinely required here. But once a mature hardy kiwi vine hits its stride, it can produce 100 pounds of fruit per year. 100 pounds from one vine. Give them a strong arbor or pergola because they are heavy producers, and they deserve serious structural support. If you want to start simple, look for a self-fertile variety called Isai. It produces fruit with just 1 plant, which is a wonderful entry point if you do not want to manage both male and female vines right away. But once you taste your first homegrown hardy kiwi, still warm from the afternoon sun, sweet and bursting with tropical flavor, you will never look at the fuzzy ones in the store the same way again. Guaranteed. Before we get to the 3 bonus vines, I want to say something important. If you have been watching this video all the way to this point and you have not subscribed yet, please do that right now. Hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell, because what is coming in the next few videos on this channel is going to be just as good as what you are watching right now. And I would hate for you to miss it. Now, the bonus vines. 3 plants that even experienced gardeners rarely know about. These are your secret weapons. Bonus number 1. Sea kale. The Victorians loved this plant and then the world somehow forgot about it entirely. Sea kale, Cram marittima, is a hardy perennial coastal plant whose young blanched shoots are harvested like a refined, elegant vegetable in very early spring. The flavor is something genuinely special. Imagine a cross between asparagus and a very mild, sweet, delicate cabbage. Nutty, refined, and unlike almost anything else a home garden typically produces. Sea kale is remarkably resilient. It handles salt spray, sandy soil, coastal winds, and difficult conditions that would destroy most conventional vegetables without complaint. Once established, it can live and produce for decades, quietly offering those pale, beautiful shoots at the very start of every spring season. To harvest, place a pot or forcing jar over the emerging crown in late winter or very early spring to blanch the shoots in darkness. What emerges is one of the most elegant and unusual vegetables your garden will ever produce. This is a forgotten treasure that absolutely deserves a comeback. Bonus number 2. Madeira vini. Most people know this one purely as an ornamental climber and have no idea it is edible. The Madeira vine, Enretera cordifolia, is a fast-growing perennial vine that produces thick, succulent leaves that can be cooked exactly like spinach, and aerial tubers that form along the vine itself. Those tubers can be replanted to grow entirely new vines. So this plant essentially multiplies itself season after season without you doing anything extra. It thrives in warm climates and grows with impressive vigor. I do want to be honest with you here. In some regions, Madeira vine has invasive tendencies, so I recommend growing it in a controlled space, a raised bed, a container, or against a wall where you can keep an eye on it and manage its spread. But when you give it that framework, it is one of the most productive and genuinely surprising food sources you can grow. Most people walk right past it every day without ever knowing they could eat it. And bonus number 3, the one you stayed for, the air potato yam. Imagine harvesting potatoes that grow hanging in the air, not underground. in the air, right there on the vine. That is exactly what the air potato yam, Dioscorea bulbifera, does. This is a climbing yam that produces large, potato-like bulbils directly on the vine itself. They hang there like ornaments, like some extraordinary, edible, botanical Christmas decoration. No tools. You just reach up and pick them right off the vine. In parts of Asia and Africa, edible cultivated varieties have been a significant food staple for generations. The tubers are starchy and filling, cooking up similar to a regular potato. Now I want to be very clear and very direct about something important. Some wild varieties of air potato contain compounds that are toxic and cannot be eaten safely. You must grow a known, cultivated, edible variety sourced from a reputable nursery or seed supplier. Do not forage wild air potato without expert identification. Do not take chances with this one. But when you grow the right edible variety, it is productive, it is easy to manage, and it is one of the most genuinely jaw-dropping things you will ever have in your garden. Your neighbors will walk past, see those bulbils hanging from the vine, and they will not believe their eyes. It is the kind of plant that turns every single visitor into a curious, excited, inspired gardener. Because once they see it, they absolutely have to try growing it themselves. So there you have it. 9 incredible perennial vines plus 3 bonus plants that will turn your garden into a self-sustaining, continuously producing food system. From a forgotten Scandinavian climbing green to a vine that literally grows potatoes in the air, every single one of these plants has the power to feed you and your family for years, sometimes for decades, from one single planting. And that is the real beauty of perennial food gardening. Is it not? You do the work once. You get the reward every single season that follows. No starting over. No replanting. No spending money on seeds every spring. Just abundance, compounding, and growing year after year. Now here is what I want you to do with everything you just learned. Pick one. Just one plant from today's list. Whichever one made you stop and think, wait, that is actually real. Because that spark of excitement, that moment of genuine surprise, that is where the best and most rewarding gardens in the world always begin. And I want to know right now in the comments, which one are you going to plant first? And be completely honest, which one surprised you the most? Was it the kiwi that grows in Zone 3? The vine that grows potatoes in midair? The spinach that comes back for 30 years in the shade? Tell me below. Those are my favorite comments to read, and I respond to as many as I possibly can. If this video gave you even one plant you had never heard of before, one idea that shifted how you think about what your garden can actually do for you, then we did exactly what the lazy gardener is here to do. And there is so much more coming. I am always digging into the plants and the strategies that most channels never bother to talk about. The ones that actually change how you garden and what your garden gives back to you. So if you are not part of this community yet, join us right now. Hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and let us keep growing together. I will see you in the next one.